these stars up.
Who are you? What's your first witness?
It would be Dr. Mark Chambers. And what we would propose to the court, because this case has been moving forward so efficiently, a number of people are going to be available at the end of the week. We've been reaching out, trying to get people to move their schedules to be available today. That's
Sorry, we got up a little bit late, you guys.
difficulties in reference to that.
Thank you for joining us.
What we anticipate doing is calling Dr. Mark Chambers this morning and then having a break so we could address these issues that should be addressed out of the presence of the jury to avoid an interrupted presentation of the defense's case.
Okay, so you're only gonna have one witness today?
Correct. As of right now, we're waiting for another witness. She had called Crime Stoppers. She was available tomorrow. We're trying to move her up till this morning. We called the hallway. She is not present yet. Again, everybody was subpoenaed to testify towards the end of the week. So we're trying to accommodate the real-time schedule of this trial.
Okay, so we could let the jury go, but we could deal with some of these exhibits?
Correct, certainly.
All right, we don't have to do it before Dr. Chambers
No,
comes
we
in.
can put Dr. Chambers on.
Okay,
Judge, can I have the evidence proposal so I can make a record of what is being objected to?
right, before, I mean, we could probably do that.
Yeah,
right?
the other thing is, I believe the defense will stipulate to the admission of 312 and then 316 to 336.
That is correct. And obviously, the purpose of stipulations is to make the trial process smoother and credit presentation of evidence to the jury. And obviously, we anticipate participation in the same way from the state concerning our exhibits. But yes, we stipulate the admission of those exhibits. I'm going to approach your clerk with our defense exhibits,
Okay,
additional defense exhibits. I believe we're up to X.
so these are the ones the clerk's gonna want.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
so we can make a record later. We are, yes, we're on X right now.
And the only other thing, Your Honor, is remember how I talked about having a flash drive of the long form of all the video? The defense raised a couple concerns. I'm just deleting the images they don't want on there to go back to the jury. I want them to check my work to make sure I remove what they wanted, and then we'll be offering that.
All right, can we bring the panel in?
Thank you. As far as the state's concerned.
All right, we can bring the panel in.
Thank you all. Please be seated.
Does the state stipulate to the presence of the panel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gossett, you can call the first witness.
Yes, the defense calls Dr. Mark Chambers.
remain standing, doctor, and raise your right hand, please, clerk.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Mark Chambers, MarkChambers.
Thank you. Dr. Chambers, if you could begin by telling us a little bit about yourself, beginning with your education.
All right. I attended undergraduate studies at Stanford University, where I graduated with a major in psychology and a minor in biology. I graduated with distinction, which meant that I was in the top 10% of my class. I also was admitted to Phi Beta Kappa during that time. I also earned a master's degree at Stanford in education. My doctoral studies were conducted at Northwestern University, where I earned a degree in clinical psychology.
How are you currently employed?
I am self-employed with a practice in clinical and forensic psychology.
If you could please explain to us the difference between clinical psychology versus forensic psychology.
Clinical psychology is probably what most people think about when they think about psychology or psychologists. A clinical psychologist deals with problems in the human condition, mental disorders, or other kinds of personal problems people may have in their lives, like depression or anxiety. They do psychological testing to help better understand a person's issues or problems or situation. And then they provide treatment services, which we usually refer to as psychotherapy or counseling.
If you could explain to us too a little more in detail what is psychology. I think we all have a pretty general idea, but if we could just address that this morning.
Psychology is the science of behavior. And although most people might think of it as relating to thought processes or something that goes on inside the brain, that's not something that we can access directly with any kind of psychological or scientific methods. So we have to look at people's behavior, and then from that, we sometimes infer things about the way that the human brain works or why people behave the way they do. But ultimately, we are looking at behavior and then drawing conclusions from that.
In reference to forensic psychology, which you have been qualified in previous hearings to give expert testimony concerning, is it fair to say that psychology is basically taking well-accepted principles, scientific principles concerning human behavior and applying it to specific circumstances?
Yes, and those specific circumstances are related to some sort of court issue. So a forensic psychologist may do work in family court, conducting evaluations or child custody assessments. They may work in criminal courts like this one here to provide expert testimony that might help the trier of fact, either the judge or the jury, to understand a particular issue that's germane to the case. Sometimes we also work in lawsuits and provide testimony about maybe in a car accident, what kind of psychological trauma an individual has sustained. But ultimately, as you said, forensic psychology is the application of basic psychological principles and research to the issue at hand in the court-related proceeding. And as a result of that, a forensic psychologist sometimes has to be a little bit of a jack of all trades, because there are a lot of different areas of psychology that can apply to a court-related setting. And so we have to know a little bit about a lot of different things.
Okay, would you kind of, I guess, analogize that to that of a coroner? I mean, a coroner is called upon to give an opinion concerning manner of death.
Certainly, yes. A coroner has to know about head injuries and gunshot wounds and blunt force trauma and poisoning and all different ways of death that somebody might experience. So they can't be an expert in any one of those areas. They kind of have to know all of those things so that when they perform an autopsy, they can bring that knowledge to bear to determine the cause of death.
So we have scientific principles apply to specific fact scenarios that help judges, juries make certain determinations concerning issues of fact. Fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes.
You've given and been qualified to give testimony concerning eyewitness identification. If you could, and other matters, if you could please explain to us other areas in which you have been qualified and given expert testimony concerning.
Sure. One of the big things that I often testify about has to do with the reliability of memory, because a lot of court proceedings rely on the testimony of witnesses, and by virtue of that, the reliability of their memory as to what they observed or experienced, or what kind of testimony they're bringing to the court. So there's a lot of research on how memory works, the way in which it can be defective, and that can be helpful to the trier of fact to judge the credibility or reliability of a particular witness's testimony, rather than just assuming that whatever they say is automatically true. I've also testified about the effects of various medications or substances on behavior, including drugs and alcohol, because those things can distort the way people behave, the way that they think, the way that they react to certain situations. And so that can be helpful to know. Stressful situations, trauma can also affect a person's behavior and reactions to certain situations. And so it can be helpful for a trier of fact to know more about that before making a judgment about the case in front of them.
And just so I'm clear then, you've been qualified to give testimony as a forensic psychologist. And as a forensic psychologist, your testimony could address a whole myriad of situations that affect people's behavior and why they do things.
That is correct, yes.
You have been called on in prior cases by defense counsel,
Yes.
myself included.
Correct.
Have you been called upon to give testimony as a forensic psychologist in prosecutions?
I certainly have, yes.
Federal cases, state cases, if you could please explain to us just briefly your involvement in prosecutions.
I've testified and consulted all over the world. I think if I had to add them up, the number of prosecution versus defense cases is pretty evenly matched. But I've testified in family court, I've testified in civil court, I testified in military and federal courts, as I said, in many, many jurisdictions.
And when you're called upon, let's say by a defense team or a defense attorney, you are not retained to give a specific opinion, fair to say?
No, I'm here
Defense
to,
oriented or prosecution oriented, something along those
correct.
lines.
I'm here to elucidate the relevant psychological principles and research and knowledge that will help the trier of fact better understand a case. In some cases, it's not favorable to the party that is consulting me. And I have to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't help you because the research says this, and that's probably bad for your case. And that's okay. I mean, sometimes that means a little loss of work, but I've got plenty of work, so it's not really a concern for me.
In reference to these scientific principles upon which you draw opinions or conclusions, you're not a research psychologist.
I am not. I mean, I was trained in research. I have done research, but in my role as a forensic psychologist, my primary skill is understanding research, being able to read research studies that have been published by other researchers, and then gleaning from that the appropriate principles and understanding about human behavior that's relevant to the case.
And these research studies, again, fair to say, cover a wide array of circumstances.
Correct.
Your job is to review the research. And let me ask you this, the research, whether it be concerning false confessions, whether it be concerning memory, it's open to peer review. And if you could explain that to us.
Sure. So the peer review process is a safeguard to make sure that research that is published has done the things that it needs to do to be reliable. So if a research team conducts a study and then they coalesce their findings and then they put together a paper or an article that they'd like to publish, they then submit it to the journal that they would like to publish it. And then that journal sends the draft of the study to a couple of other experts in the field who then look it over, they critique it, they make suggestions of what be done better or questions that they feel like they have that the study doesn't answer that need to be answered in the study. And in most cases, then the study, if the editor of the journal feels like it still has merit despite the criticisms, it will send it back to the researchers with the suggestions and say, hey, can you make these changes and we'll take another look at it. Sometimes they'll accept it or reject it immediately, but most of the time it's that middle ground where they try to give some guidance to the researchers on how the paper can be better and more suitable for publication. So by the time a study gets published in a scientific journal, in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, it has been looked over by several sets of eyes, not just the researchers who are submitting the paper.
When you're called upon to give expert testimony concerning issues in the case, sometimes you're called upon to give a wide variety of opinions, and sometimes you're called upon to give a very narrowly tailored opinion as to perhaps a single topic.
Yes,
subject.
I think that's fair to say.
And in this case, you were retained to give testimony in the state of Nevada versus Robert Tellis.
Correct.
Did I reach out to you in reference to this case?
No, I believe that I was originally retained on this case by the defense investigator.
Okay, and that was
Reached
prior
out
to
to
my
me.
involvement, to your knowledge, in this matter.
That's my understanding, yes.
You were called upon to review certain evidence in this case, to give testimony concerning suicide attempts for those that are involving charges or
Yes.
facing charges.
That's correct.
Let's talk about this. Individuals who may be charged with a crime attempting to commit suicide. How common is it?
Well, first of all, it's hard to say because that there's a lot of people that go into custody, but it's not very common. I think it's fair to say that it's probably less than 1 in 1,000 suspects or defendants who are involved in the criminal justice system. So it's not particularly common, but it is more common than it is in the general public. So people who are involved in the criminal justice system do commit suicide or attempt suicide at a higher rate than the general public.
Are there risk factors that have been identified by peer-reviewed scientific research on this issue?
Well, yes. One of the risk factors that has been identified is the severity of the crime, the severity of the charge. So if somebody is accused of a particularly severe charge, then the risk for suicide or an attempted suicide is higher.
Fair to say that the severity of a murder charge is about as serious as it can get.
I would think so.
Is an attempted suicide a reliable indicator of a guilty conscience?
Not necessarily, no.
And is that based upon research?
Yes.
And if you could explain this issue.
So in 2011, there was a study published of a very comprehensive research project where they looked at over 27,000 suicides that were committed by individuals who were involved in the criminal justice system. And then they compared those individuals to over 500,000 individuals who were also involved in the criminal justice system but did not commit suicide. So that they could identify, well, what makes these people a little bit different than the people who didn't commit suicide? First of all, I think it probably is obvious that individuals who came in with a mental health problem were already at higher risk because those are the people that typically commit suicide. So it wouldn't necessarily have anything to do with whether they're being charged or not, but it's clear from the research that the stress of being accused of a crime, particularly a severe crime, as I said, can cause people to commit or attempt suicide, whether they're guilty or not. And for the study that I referenced, for instance, found that there were people who had gone through the system, were adjudicated not guilty, and after their case was done, they were still at a higher risk for suicide. Other people who had their cases dropped, but had still been accused of this crime, were at a higher risk for suicide. So it was clear from the study that it's more the process of being involved in the criminal justice system, being accused of a crime, that produces the stress that can result in suicide than guilty conscience itself. And I should add, part of the problem that even addressing that question of guilty conscience is that, remember I said earlier about what psychology is and it isn't. It's about behavior. It's not about mental processes. So to accurately answer that question, we would have to know what's in the brain of the individual. Guilty conscience, by definition, regards what's going on inside, not what the person is doing. And so there are going to be many, many cases where we don't know if the person is guilty or not. So it becomes difficult to answer that question. But we do know that some people, even after they have been found not guilty by the system, just being involved in the system is a suicide risk.
And just so we're clear, you're not called upon to give testimony concerning the guilt or innocence of Mr. Tellis.
No, of course not.
That's obviously within the purview of this jury and not yours.
Absolutely.
So just so I'm clear on your testimony, if a person attempts to commit suicide after being accused of the crime, that doesn't mean that they probably did it.
It's not a reliable indicator, no.
Innocent people or people that have been exonerated of a very serious crime have attempted suicide.
Yes,
You are aware that Mr. Tellis cut his arms pretty severely in this case.
I am.
Did you have an opportunity to discuss this issue with Mr. Tellis?
I did.
Did he express to you concerns that he had at the time that he did this?
Objection, hearsay.
Was his explanation to you consistent with the studies that you have just referred to?
Objection, hearsay.
Again, you have given testimony concerning these studies where a person gets accused, and as a result of the accusation and the process, not necessarily guilt, but the accusation and the process, that person attempted suicide.
Yes.
And that attempt at suicide does not necessarily mean a guilty conscience.
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can I have some sort of overview of what you reviewed in preparation for your testimony this morning?
Certainly. I was sent the discovery from the case, which I believe included the police report, which essentially documents the investigative process that the police went through when they were assigned to this case. I think that also included some hospital records for the defendant when he was hospitalized immediately after his arrest because of the injuries to his arms. I think I saw some photos that were related to the case, and I was also provided with medical records for the defendant during his time in custody at Clark County Detention Center.
Okay. And in terms of the police reports, you mentioned that you had we call it the OR, the officer's report. Is that what you're referring to?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. How about any witness statements? Have you reviewed any of those?
I believe there were witness statements in there as well, yes.
Okay. And then did you review photographs associated with the case?
As I mentioned earlier, yes.
Video?
Don't recall seeing any video.
DNA reports?
I think I think I saw some DNA reports, yes.
Reports from, like phone extractions, anything like that?
I think I saw a log of some phone records, so I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
I'm talking more like the contents of a phone.
I don't recall seeing that, but that doesn't mean I didn't.
Okay. And when was it that you were provided these materials?
It was some time ago. I was retained on this case, I believe, late last year, but I couldn't tell you the exact date.
Okay. And it sounds like you interviewed Mr. Tellis at some point.
I did.
When was that?
I actually interviewed him twice. I interviewed him earlier this year, I believe, and then I also interviewed him last Saturday.
Okay. And in either interview, did you record your conversation with him?
I did not.
Did you take notes?
I did.
Are your notes available?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, do you still have your notes?
Yes,
Okay, so if the court ordered you to provide them, you could do
I
that?
could, yes.
Okay. And you understand, of course, we don't have them yet.
I haven't been asked for them, no.
Okay. And so if we made that request and the court agrees with us, you'd be able to provide it?
Certainly.
Okay. Besides Mr. Tellis, did you interview anyone else?
I did not.
How long were the interviews that you conducted with him?
The first interview was about 3 hours, I believe. And then the more recent one was maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. Did you ever administer any tests to him?
I did not.
So it was just interviews, and so you're sort of relying on his description of events.
Well, I mean, I captured his description of events.
Okay. But what he's telling you is his factual version, right?
I would assume so.
Okay. I mean, you don't ever verify that with anybody else.
I
Is that
did
fair?
have not.
Okay. And so you're kind of getting information from a single source?
Well, I'm getting information from him for the information that he has available to him.
Okay, and like you could apply, I mean, sometimes there are tests administered in order to do psychological assessments of people,
Correct.
and none of those were done
No,
on either occasion?
no.
Okay. And you're not here to tell us anything about events that occurred on December the 2nd of 2022, correct?
Well, no.
I mean,
Not-
you
not on
haven't,
that date, no.
you haven't been to Bronze Circle.
Council, I believe it's September 2nd. There was a question. December 2nd.
Oh, I thought I said
Just in the
September. I
same
apologize. I mean September, if I misspoke.
Yes, no,
I mean, you haven't been to Bronze Circle.
no.
You're not familiar with any of the evidence other than what you read in the officer's report?
Whatever I read in the police report, yes.
Okay. Now you mentioned that, you sometimes testify like about the reliability of memory and that sort of thing. And that is sometimes used in cases where, there is eyewitness testimony to be relied upon.
Yes,
And then sometimes I would assume it's to talk about like children who recall instances of sexual abuse that occurred in the past. They're challenging their memories of that.
that's right.
And so you kind of provide, I guess, context to how they might misremember things.
In some cases, yes.
Okay. And I think you said on direct examination that that going through the criminal justice system just in itself is a stressful event,
Yes, certainly.
and that correlates with the severity of the charge.
The risk of suicide correlates with the severity of the charge, yes.
Okay. And what we're saying is, I think you said it doesn't, I think your words were not necessarily when asked if it was like the suicidality was indicative of a guilty conscience, correct?
Yes,
And so not necessarily to me means sometimes it could be.
sure. of
Okay.
course.
So there are sometimes people are suicidal because of feeling guilty about the crime they've committed.
I think that's almost certainly true.
Okay. Do you have any kind of information? I don't know if there are studies on that about how often that might be the case.
Well, because as I said earlier, we don't know what's going through a person's mind in most cases unless they tell us.
Right,
People that commit suicide don't usually have much to say.
right. But if
And
you
so-
attempted it, you
Right.
would.
And even when they tell us, we can't always rely on that as being accurate. So it's a very difficult question to address directly through scientific study.
Because people who have attempted suicide may be unreliable narrators about why they did things, right?
Absolutely,
And they may be self-interested when they're relaying events to you.
for sure.
And they may be motivated by sort of wanting to avoid criminal responsibility when they're talking to you.
Yes, definitely.
All those factors are always at play in when you have someone charged with a crime. Would
They
that be
can.
fair?
They can.
Okay. And do you think there's a correlation of suicidality when people like in high positions in society have what's called like a fall from grace? Do you know what I mean? Being publicly embarrassed?
Yes, I think that that's probably a factor because when I talk about the stress of being accused of a crime, whether or not you did it,
Mhm.
there are a lot of factors that play into that. There's family, there's friends, there's finances, there's your employment, but also, as you said, if it's somebody who has a prominent position in society, just the public scrutiny of being accused, whether you're guilty or not, is sometimes inescapable. And we see cases of that all the time where people are accused of a crime, they're tried, they're found not guilty, but that scrutiny, that public scrutiny continues. Not everybody accepts a not guilty verdict, and so it can be very difficult to function in society afterwards.
But that public scrutiny would still exist and the embarrassment would still exist if you were guilty too, right?
Right.
And if, say, you were the subject of really negative articles that were published countywide, that would be a stressor that someone might experience as well, right?
Correct.
Being accused of inappropriate behavior in the workplace would be a stressor for somebody, right?
I would think so.
Being accused of being a bad manager would be stressful for somebody, right?
Almost certainly.
Okay. And sort of being accused of being kind of incompetent at your job would be a stressor if that was something that was like published to, say, the county.
Yes.
Okay. And those types of things cause stress on individuals that may or may not manifest as suicide, but they're troubling to individuals to experience. Is that fair?
Sure. Some more than others. It's all about personality and experience, but yes, I would think generally that's true.
And when you say some more than others, if they're someone who puts a lot of importance on their role in a particular office or status, it would be more upsetting for that type of person to have maybe negative articles written about them.
I would think so, yes.
Okay. Could I have the court's indulgence? Thank you.
Yes, just some follow-up. Based upon your testimony and your opinion, there's not really this correlation concerning more evidence against someone for a serious crime then results in a higher likelihood of suicide.
I'm sorry, could you rephrase that?
Absolutely. So there was questions that you were asked concerning evidence in a particular case.
Mhm.
And are you able to say there's any correlation between, let's say, the more evidence of a person having committed a crime, that being correlated to the higher likelihood of suicide?
I think it's probably more accurate to say that it comes down to the individual's perception of his situation. So, for instance, if someone believes that they're in big trouble, that the cops have them dead to rights, whether or not they're guilty, that probably produces more stress than somebody who thinks, yeah, I can get out of this, or I'm good, or they don't have anything on me. So the objective status of that person's situation is probably less important than the subjective perception of the situation that they're in.
So again, that underscores, obviously you agree that human beings, we can be fairly complex and our behavior can be
Yeah, I
fairly
think that's
complex.
pretty obvious. Yeah.
It is. And oftentimes people think, well, if this person committed suicide, if he committed suicide, he must have committed the crime. You're here to dispel that common view.
Yes,
And there's actually scientific data that does so.
right.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any cross?
Nothing else, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hawes? You can approach. Okay, we have a question from a juror, it's been marked as court's exhibit number 15. Has anyone in your experience ever attempted suicide in an attempt to gain sympathy from being accused?
I think that's almost certainly true, yes. Especially when the suicide attempt is not successful. Sometimes people do what we call suicidal gestures, which just refers to the fact that it kind of looks like a suicide attempt, but it wasn't fatal. And in many cases, people do that just to garner sympathy or to deflect attention from some other issue that they're concerned about.
Any follow-up, Mr. Traskowitz?
I do, thank you. And in reference to this, and we're not saying that's necessarily the case in this case, are we?
No, I'm not at all.
And this perhaps deflection, this perhaps attempting to get sympathy doesn't necessarily equate to knowledge of guilt or guilt.
No, it definitely does not.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Harper, anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Chambers, thank you very much for your testimony here today. You can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You are excused from this opinion. Thank you very much for being here. And now we're adjourned.
I'll step outside to see if our next witness is available. Our next witness is not here, and as I explained to the court, we had them set for later in the week. We'd anticipate our next witness being available after the lunch break.
Oh, okay, this afternoon.
Correct.
Okay. So at this time, we are going to break for lunch. During this recess, you're marched on to discuss or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, any way regarding the case or appearance, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media. Read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case. Do research, consult dictionaries, internet, or reference materials. Do any investigation, test a theory, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case till it's finally submitted to you by 1 o'clock.
We start at 1:30, given the other issues that we're
Sure.
going to address.
Okay,
on the break.
so we'll be in recess till 1:30. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Or all right, y'all, as Ada would say. Ada. Okay, there we go. Ada is with me in, I won't say spirit right now because she's just on a day off. And she's also right there in the corner. We are on an extended break from court right now. I initially wasn't paying close enough attention to this when we were getting the stream up and running. And I had joked to the Squeegee of Justice that, do they drink Manhattans for lunch? Why do they have a 2.5 hour lunch? Because they aren't coming back to court until 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is 4:30 Eastern. And he said, no, there was a witness that was unavailable. That is why they were on an extended break. So it's not the old style of justice where they're out drinking for the afternoon and then they come back into court for the rest of the day. Yes. So we've had some very chill music that has been selected for us by Trial TV Live, which has been very, very fun and, very helpful for us. Thank you very much, Trial TV Live. If you ever need to go and check out any sort of coverage, they are a great place to go and do so. Please do that. They are like family to us. Please say hi to them, Chris and Aaron. They are wonderful people. And we just love having them around. So I just want to say hello to Higgly Mouse. I want to say hi to Erica. And I want to say hello to Ada if she is around and she is saying, or if she is listening in. We don't have a lot going on right now. I don't know. What do you guys think of what is going on thus far in the trial? I know yesterday I was saying that he still, Tellus still has not told his face that he's on trial yet, because he really cannot handle his facial reactions. They are just outside of his control. And it almost looks like they have subtitles sometimes because they come with not 1,000 words, but they definitely come with some. Yeah, so yes, Haley Mouse. And what is it about courtroom civility that makes a case, well, a bit boring? That does pose a good question. Hi, Ada. How are you doing today on your supposed day off?
How are y'all doing?
We're having a good day. Haley was just posing the question, why does courtroom civility make for sometimes a bit boring of courtroom drama or non-drama?
I'm having a hard time hearing. Let me see if I can get you in my ears. You're supposed to be in my ears.
Oh, yeah, sorry. How are y'all doing? I just wanted to hop in and officially and publicly thank you. This is supposed to be your day off.
That's okay. It's supposed to be your day off as well. So, Haley was
we'll figure it out.
Haley was asking, what is it about courtroom civility that makes a case a bit, well, boring? And I mentioned to Haley that is a very good question. And there's been no objections. There's been very few objections. And considering the the cases that we've had this year. And
You're right. That's
what's
a good
played
observation.
out on the theater of the court stage, it has been quite something.
This court
Haley
has been
says,
one of the
"Hi,
most.
Ada."
Hey, y'all. This court has been one of the most politest, respectful, no drama. This is how court is supposed to be. And, they're following the rules. Now, I did hear some objections leading this morning a couple of times, but in reality, y'all, this is what it's supposed to be. Exactly what you're seeing right now. And we're not used to the lawyers playing to the rules and keeping it polite and professional. So it does make a quieter trial. I do miss a little bit of the drama. So
When
Does that
there
make
are
sense?
no personal attacks, it
Yeah.
makes it less charged.
and none of the expert witnesses pointing a gun at the judge or a lawyer aiming a rifle at another lawyer. All that kind of good stuff.
What is it with either experts or members of the bar, other people flagging others with guns in the courtroom?
It's because
it's insane.
It's because they don't know how to properly handle a weapon. But I'm going to hop off again in a minute. But I just wanted to say, Sneaky, thank you so much for having my six and you hopping on. We will figure this out. I've never had to do it this way before. Never had a trial that went this way before, so we're all good. But once again, this one or the next one? Huh? Okay. So anyway, we went around. So anyway, we are having a good day, but this morning was kind of interesting, y'all. Okay. This morning, one of the interesting things I thought this morning was talking about the gentleman that was up there talking about all the psychological stuff. They are going to do everything they can to turn this, I'm just going to turn around, to turn this into a psychological game for him. They're going to sit there and try and make this into a mental case of some sorts. And I'm not appreciating that very much, honestly. He was under a lot of duress. That's what I think he's going to say. Dagnabbit. 3-point turn.
Testimony could have cut both ways. A lot of people
True.
were saying in the trial TV chat, and so sorry, that's my dog, but so that is a very fair point, and I did want to say, like, some people thought, well, that guy just almost testified for both sides, so just share your thoughts while I let my little ragamuffins in.
Well, unfortunately, I understand the guy did not like the fact that somebody was writing bad things about him. He's a politician, and he thought that, he's above it all. And in fact, the part of the problem is when you become a politician, you put yourself in a position that you are open to the public, open to ridicule, both privately and publicly. And for me, I'm just like, do you know what? You asked for this. This is something that you chose to do. And if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, in my humble opinion.
Public office, right? It's something that's not everyone's cut out for. I know I would not be someone who's cut out for public office, that's for sure.
Yeah, I
So,
know. I know.
It takes all types to make the world go around, but it's unfortunate that sometimes the people who aren't supposed to be in public office are the ones who are drawn towards it, and the people who should be are not the ones who will go within 100 feet of it. So it's hard.
It is hard. So, but I'm going to hop off, but I just wanted to thank you so very, 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 very much. And I hope that I won't be able to hop on for another few hours at least, but I am in the background. If you need to skedaddle, that's okay. Please do. Just leave it up and running. I'll be popping in and out of chat. But bless you guys. Thank you guys so much. And darling, I'm gonna send you a little gift card. You deserve a meal for this. You are amazing, and I couldn't do it without you. So thank you very, very much. And Haley Mouse and everybody in there, thank you so much for sticking with us. We're a new channel and we have to learn how to work through these processes. So thank you very much.
Yes, everyone, thank you. So have a good
Thank
day,
you.
Ada.
You too.
Enjoy
Do me a
with your
favor. I
family.
need you to kick me out for me. I need you to kick me out.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, everyone. Now my dogs are barking again. Wonderful. So, in terms of just getting people, everything back on track, we really appreciate you coming to watch with us, even though today is kind of an in and out day for everyone here at Ada K. We're just kind of a bit of a patchwork quilt, so we're just patching things together. I'm going to be in and out, so I'm going to put you back on with the very, very cool musical stylings of the Trial TV feed. And I will pop back on if there is anything to talk about, or if there's anything in our chat that really needs discussing. So please feel free to pop into our chat room, and if there's anything that you guys feel is pressing and needs to be discussed, please let us know. Wonderful. Oh, okay. Sorry, my mic was not on. Okay, so hi, hello, it's Britt. How are you today? I'm so glad that you have joined us. We are on a break from court right now. We are coming back to court in about an hour at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. So that is 4:30 Eastern. So that is still a little ways away. I joked that it was because everybody was getting drunk on Manhattans during lunchtime, like the olden days of legal times, but it was because a witness did not show up, and so they have been waiting, or are waiting for that witness to arrive. If Jar is here and listening, Jar, I have always wondered and always wanted to know, how did you come up with your username and the profile picture? Because it's just so deadpan and awesome that I've always wanted to know, why did I not think of that first? And crap, that is pretty awesome. So if there's a story there, please share it with us. Hello, it's Britt. Please let us know how your day is going. So far in this trial, things have been going by pretty smoothly, and I think so far the LawTuber community is not very familiar with that in 2024. We've had a solid 6 months of boondogglery. I don't even know what to haberdashery is with, that's with ravens or with birds, isn't it? When I was making the profile, I had a jar in front of me, so boom, that's genius. So I just wanted to say, man, I wish I had thought of that first. So I've always wondered. And I think when I first saw you show up, I was talking to Braxton, and I'm like, that's awesome. Why did I not think of that? Crap. Yeah. So we have not been used to this level of sportsmanship in litigation, I guess. In 2024, in terms of the LawTube community. So we are, I think, I wouldn't want to say bored, because we are watching some very fine litigators doing some very great work, and we are watching them behave like adults. So, hi Ada. Jar was just telling me the story behind the username, which I really wanted to know. And hello, it's Britt is joining us. Yeah, so I think we're just not used to this level of positive discourse, and we can give golf claps for that. Let's give claps for the ASL channel. So yeah, now today we don't have our interpreter on, but usually we do. It's when she is available, because she does do this for us as a volunteer basis, which is wonderful. And when she is on here, we do have a Buy Me a Coffee link for our ASL interpreter up. And we do ask that if you feel it in your heart to go and support Diane, because she is so great at what she does. And I was saying to Ada the other day that I can't imagine how hard it would be to be doing ASL all day, just because talking to people. I find talking to people or just like conversing with people really tiring. But can you imagine doing that with your expressions in your hands for hours and hours of a day, or having that be your job? That's quite something. And then imagine having that be your job and then volunteering that as part of your time here as well. So it's really lovely. So if you ever see her here, thank you to Diane. And we love her. So yay. And yes, now I'm not usually the one who is running this channel. Usually it's Ada. Now Ada is on a day off with her family today. People do sometimes have days off. It does happen. Ada does not normally take days off, but we do try to encourage it. So we're trying to encourage this. It's a good work-life balance. But I'm not sure if just one day is going to do it. So I'm sorry, but you're stuck with me today, just for little bits here and there in between court. Yeah. So we have had friends of ours dropping in the chat to say hello. We've had Haley Mouse, Jar, we've had Zach. We had hello, it's Britt. We've had Erica. I know we've had C. Morales, and we really appreciate people stopping in, even though we told them that we were just going to be running a really quiet stream today. And yeah, so thanks everyone for coming to hang out with us. So I'm not sure what everybody thinks of the Tellers trial so far. I'm not sure if you all read some of the so-called hit pieces that were written by this reporter that that apparently enraged him to commit murder. But as Ada and I were discussing just a little bit earlier, when you are a public figure or when you are up for a public office, you put yourself in a public light. You put yourself on the public stage. So if you cannot handle a little bit of criticism, then maybe that's not where you should be. Also, another one of the law tubers in the community who is wonderful is calling Tella's boss baby, which makes me laugh so hard. Oh, that's great. Okay, so Diane, our interpreter, is working right now. And so that is wonderful, but she's working. And so that means she is not with us today. And so anytime I now look at this man, I see boss baby for sure. So, yeah. And I believe Trial TV had closed captions on this morning, Ada. So I will double check with Squeegee just to make sure, but we will ensure that is the case. And just to make that it's accessible for everyone. And I don't know, I just wanted to know how everybody's day was, I guess. My dogs were here at my feet a couple of minutes ago because they were trying to eat. We're trying to get any falling cucumbers. I'm not sure if any of your guys' dogs like vegetables. My dogs go crazy for cucumbers and carrots. So my dogs will sit here all day. Doesn't matter if I'm watching court all day. They don't care about that. They won't sit here for court. They'll be outside. They'll be running around. They'll be barking at stuff. But if I have carrots or if I have cucumbers, they're here. And it's because they want to see if I drop something. Partially because I drop a lot of stuff. Like, you know, I'm not the most graceful person, but also because dogs see opportunity in everything. dogs see the best in pretty much everything, I think. So if you have a dog, or if your friend has a dog, if you see a dog today, just go give a dog a nice friendly pat and say, you know, thanks for seeing the best in me, or seeing the best in, you know, life today. Because I think we could all learn something from a dog. I think Tellus could learn something from a dog. He could learn not to look guilty all the time, because a dog does not look guilty all the time. He only looks guilty when he's done something very, very bad. So, Tellus, I don't know if you've watched him when he's looking at any of the videos. But he is, yeah, he really cannot control some of his expressions. I'm going to bring up some of these articles and see what exactly was explored in some of this stuff. Because I didn't go through all of it, and I want to know what exactly is part of this that Jeff Garman, or Germain, I'm sorry, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, even though I've heard it all the whole week. But yeah, just give me a moment, everyone. Now, so I'm not reading his article specifically, but I am reading a BBC article that does go over just a brief overview of some of the things that were gone over. And so if anybody is joining us that doesn't quite know what this case is about, this will tell you a little bit about it and whether you want to join us for the afternoon. So Mr. Germain, I believe that's how it's pronounced, was stabbed outside his home in Nevada on the 2nd of September 2022. And as part of his coverage on crime and government corruption, he had written 4 articles about Mr. Tellus, who was elected in 2018, alleging hostile behavior in his office and an affair with a subordinate. There was one more article that he had to publish about Mr. Tellus at the time of his death. After this first story came out, Mr. Tellus, a Democrat, lost his primary bid for re-election. So, if that is true, which it does seem to be, that would be a motive for murder if you were the enraged type. Ada says she finds this defendant perplexing, and I do as well. I'm not exactly sure. I don't see his face. We can't quite figure out what his face does most of the time, and I don't know why his face is reacting the way it is. But I don't think anybody can quite get or nobody has quite explained him to me in a way that makes sense, I guess. So if somebody explains Mr. Tellus in a way to me that makes sense, I will be sure. I'll be sure to let you know, because that has not happened yet. 4 women had told Mr. Germain that the agency turned into a toxic workplace beginning after Mr. Tellez took office in January 2019. They allege that Mr. Tellez, 47, threatened them and ordered them not to speak to each other. They also took video of him in the back seat of a car with a subordinate, because that's where you talk to your employees, which appeared to be part of an inappropriate relationship. Mr. Germain was off work at his home on the day he was killed. I am so sorry if I am saying his name wrong. I feel so bad if I am. Surveillance video shows an individual wearing a straw sun hat and an orange reflective shirt approach his yard and sneak through a gate. Now, there has been much said about this straw hat, because the straw hat looks like the gardening hat of your grandmother, or a grandmother, may not necessarily be your own. The kind of high-vis clothing was because I believe there were a lot of road crews in the area, or there were a lot of construction crews in the area. And even though he was trying to look incognito, or whoever was in this video is trying to look incognito, it's about the most stand out outfit that one could ever see in pretty much any setting ever. Oh, Ada says that we may have more Alec Murdaugh drama. Now, unfortunately, I don't know about the Murdaugh trial, so we are going to have someone who knows the Murdaugh trial come on and talk about that, because I have not fully caught up on that yet. And I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But Ada, if you send me an article you want me to read or something, please let me know, and I will most certainly read it. The video also shows the victim fall to the ground. A neighbor discovered his body 24 hours later. So he was stabbed 7 times, 4 in the neck and 3 in the torso. That is quite a personal attack. That is not something that is an impersonal, unaliving. That is somebody that has a vendetta, that has some sort of issue with you for sure. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, Mr. Germain was the only journalist in 2022 to be killed in the United States. Now that is something to be said. And when most of our institutions, like our journalistic institutions of integrity, are either degrading or just disappearing, finding quality journalists is really hard to do. Finding quality journalists that investigate government corruption is even harder. So having somebody like this be the only journalist that was killed in 2022, or just having any journalist be killed, but especially a journalist of this caliber and in this sort of arena, it doesn't bode well for the future of information now, does it? Staff of the Las Vegas Review-Journal began investigating his unaliving almost immediately, brainstorming a list of people to look into based on prior reporting. One of those names was Tellez. The journalist discovered that he was arrested while in office on domestic charges and resisting arrest for the choking of his wife, or some sort of DV charge. Josh Hutchings. Hi, Josh. The latest Murdaugh news could be intriguing. It's been interesting to keep up with the last week or so. Josh, do you have an article that you think I should read? I'm sorry, I'm not very up to date on the Murdaugh case, but if there's something that you think I should read, I would love to read that, and I'm just not sure which one would be appropriate. So, if there is something that is good, then please let me know. And otherwise, Josh, how's your day going? So, the one truly puzzling thing about this defendant, Mr. Tellez, is that he has had, they was found a whole bunch of information. Okay, Josh. What we can do, Josh, are you part of our Discord server? Would you like to be part of our Discord server? We have a Discord server. If you join our Discord server, we can message each other, or I can give you my Discord username. But we would love to have you join us. Okay. We're on RA's channel. Okay, here. I'm going to... Okay. All right. Okay, sorry guys. I am not used to trying to control everything at once because this is a sneaky takeover, and it's not meant to be a sneaky takeover. It was that we just needed to host things from my computer today. So this is an impromptu gathering of the minds during this this lunch break. We still have another 40 minutes to go before we're coming back from lunch. Court is going to be coming back. We're just waiting for apparently a late witness, or I'm not sure if it was sure if it was perfect. Thank you, Josh. I'm not sure if it was for track or what. So thank you, Josh. Josh has sent us an article about the newest Murdaugh drama. And we are going to read about that right now because we've got some time. And I'm sorry you're going to have to deal with my croaky voice. I apologize. Got no more tea. I'll have to do that later. Okay. South Carolina Supreme Court will review if Alex Murdaugh should get a new murder trial. Murdaugh is also appealing his 40-year federal sentence for stealing $11 million from clients. Appeals are just beginning for disgraced former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh, who is almost 3 years into a life sentence without parole for killing his wife and son. The South Carolina Supreme Court has agreed to hear Murdaugh's appeal for his murder convictions. His lawyers said they resulted from jury tampering by the clerk of Becky. I see. Okay, so sorry. I do know a little bit about this. Okay. His lawyers said they resulted from jury tampering by the clerk of court who watched over the jurors during his 6-week trial. In federal court, Murdaugh is appealing his 40-year sentence. Appealing the 40-year sentence he was given after pleading guilty to stealing nearly $11 million from clients and his law firm. Defense attorneys said that punishment 10 years or longer than the maximum recommended sentencing guidelines is too harsh under the U.S. Constitution. Prosecutor said it is a backstop in the case. Murdaugh, now 56, ever manages to get his murder convictions overturned. Oh, I see. Okay. So I believe that means that if they ever get his murder convictions overturned, that he will still be in jail for all of his financial crimes. I could be not quite reading that correctly, and I'm sorry because I don't quite know this case fully, but I think that's it. However, chat, please feel free to hop in and voice any information you have, anything you want to. Okay. All right. His appeals will continue for years. Courts haven't even begun hearing the meat of Murdaugh's argument that the judge in his murder trial, or unaliving trial, sorry, Ada, made mistakes, for example, by allowing his money thefts into evidence. That was critical to the prosecution's argument that the unalivings were meant to buy sympathy and time to keep the thefts from being discovered. The defense said that evidence unfairly made jurors angry when all they were supposed to consider was the killings. Now, as for the jury tampering appeal, the state court appeal on jury tampering is fairly straightforward. A lower court judge refused to toss out Murdaugh conviction after his lawyers agreed that the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, told jurors at his murder trials not to trust Murdaugh when he testified, had private discussions with the jury foreperson, and pressured jurors to come to a quick verdict. Hill later resigned amid an ethics investigation. Sorry, guys. Judge Jean Toll, a retired state Supreme Court Chief Justice assigned to this appeal, cited the standard set by a previous South Carolina High Court ruling that to overturn a verdict on jury tampering, there has to be a determination that a juror changed their mind as a result of the improper influence. Let's see. I appreciate that, Josh, and I'm so sorry that I am not up to date on this, but thank you so much for sharing the article. I really appreciate it. Murdaugh's lawyers argued that instead, a federal judge's ruling in an unrelated case should apply, that defendant must only prove the conduct has the potential to influence juror. I have heard a little bit about Courthouse Becky. The state Supreme Court's 1 paragraph order Tuesday accepting the appeal gave Murdaugh's lawyers 30 days to file arguments and set no date for a hearing. Well, that's quite something. Federal appeal on the 40-year theft sentence. In the federal case, Murdaugh's lawyers said that his right against cruel and unusual punishment under the U.S. Constitution was violated because Judge Richard Gurgel ignored the 17 and a half years to just under 22 years in prison recommended by federal agents and sentenced Murdaugh to 40. The trial prosecutors had asked for 30 years so that Murdaugh would be in prison for the rest of his life, no matter what happened to his murder conviction. In response to his appeal, the federal prosecutors noted simply that when Murdaugh agreed to plead guilty, he signed a document saying he wouldn't appeal unless prosecutors lied or his defense attorneys were inadequate. Murdaugh stole from his clients in wrongful death and injury cases, handing down stiff sentence. Gurgel, and Murdaugh stole from the most needy and vulnerable people, awful, including a client who became a quadriplegic after a crash, a state trooper who was injured on the job, and a trust fund intended for children of parents who were killed in a wreck. Murdaugh. For shame, Murdaugh. I know an appeal might be, somewhat necessary under the justice system, but for shame. Gosh. And those people placed all their problems and all their hopes with their lawyer, Gurgel said. In arguing for a lighter sentence, Murdaugh's attorneys compared his case to the 25 years in prison that crypto entrepreneur Sam Bankman-Fried, or the 11-year sentence handed down to Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes, what a wonderful lady, saying they stole billions while Murdaugh's thefts were in millions. But the victims in those cases were in fact investors, whereas Murdaugh stole from vulnerable people who trusted him to protect their legal interests. That is a huge difference. When you are talking about billions from investors in huge companies versus millions from very vulnerable people, you're talking about two polar opposites here. Murdaugh's lawyers want the sentence overturned and a new judge to thoroughly review the case to decide if a 40-year sentence is fair. Prosecutors said that has almost never happened in the U.S. They say that the only relevant review they could find involved a life sentence for passing a $100 bad check. Dear Lord. Wow. The Fourth Circuit of Appeals in Richmond, Virginia, has randomly assigned a 3-judge panel to hear the case. Now, this goes over, that's not very much at all. Okay, sorry. At the bottom, it just gives you a Murdaugh case in brief. Investigators said Murdaugh was addicted to opioids, and his complex schemes to steal money from clients and his family's money and his family's law firm were starting to unravel when he shot his younger son Paul with a shotgun and his wife Maggie with a rifle at their home in Colleton County in 2021. Murdaugh told investigators that he hadn't seen them for an hour or so before he discovered their bodies, but his voice was recorded in a video on his son's phone made about 5 minutes before the killing. Testifying in his own defense during the 6-week trial, Murdaugh said he was scared and lied to police about some of the details because he was a drug addict, but he adamantly denied killing his wife and son. The weapons used in the killings have not been found, and prosecutors did not present any clothes with DNA or blood evidence. Murdaugh's family controlled much of the legal system in Hampton County. His father, his grandfather, and his great-grandfather were elected prosecutors for 87 straight years. The family also founded the county's biggest private law firm. Nepotism will get you just about anywhere, folks. But if you steal millions of dollars, nepotism may not cover that. Also, if you unalive your family, nepotism may not hide that either. Ugh. Murdaugh paid his lawyers $600,000 at the beginning of his legal troubles, and while it's unclear whether they have been given any additional money, he has vowed to fight the convictions as long as he can. Meanwhile, his case remains an obsession in a true crime world. In their appeal of the theft sentence, Murdaugh's lawyers cited the trade publication Next TV, a trade publication that covers streaming, which reported that Court TV set a record with nearly 5 million hours of viewing his trial. Holy crow. Okay, sorry. I stumbled over that, but please let me not stumble over that. Murdaugh's lawyer cited that the trade publication Next TV, which is a publication that covers streaming, Court TV set a record for 5 million hours worth of streaming during the Murdaugh trial. That is ridiculous. Now, ladies and gents, I love how much you love the law. I love that. 5 million hours of viewing that trial, that means that, hopefully the family got some justice. People are working towards some justice. 5 million hours. Wow. Holy crow. So, well done, you. Well done, all of you. Because before, I don't know, you couldn't get people interested in this stuff when I was a kid, and so now to get people interested in this, I know kids that are interested in this. This is crazy. So it's a new and different world out there, and I feel old saying back in my day or whatever, but this is great because it is, at least there's interest, whereas there was a lot of apathy before. Ronnie, one of our mods, says his trial was a circus. He needs to have a new trial. With what I've heard about Courthouse Becky, yeah. And from what I've heard about like her and her son, and just from what I've seen in like press releases, and her she just seems so proud of what she's done. I just don't get it. Thanks, Josh. Okay, so about 30 minutes until Telos is back. We did manage to make it through that 2.5 hour stretch where there was not really anything, or where we were missing a witness. Now, let's see if we can. Does anybody know what the article that Jeff Germain wrote that had not been released prior to his death was? Because they said that he had one article that had not been released before his death regarding Mr. Tellez. So that intrigues me. This reporter, he looks so jovial and happy in his photo. And our defendant does not really look all that happy or jovial or friendly. When they said he had an affair with a subordinate, I was like, okay. Great. The back seat is not where you should have business meetings with your employees, guys. Hi, Ada.
You are doing such a fabulous job. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I'm really glad that Josh had sent us that article regarding Alex Murdaugh, because that was very, very helpful. And if you want to tell me... Oh, so what?
In StreamYard, they actually have, I put in StreamYard for you, kind of like a news breakdown of, it's almost like Court TV, but another one of those channels. But you did a great job with that. Thank them so much for the article. Thank you, Josh, so much for the article. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But, yeah, this Alex Murdaugh is going to be interesting. If he gets a new trial, I am going to die.
I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how
I don't know. Well,
taxpayers will feel about it, but I think it will happen. Jar is
well,
back.
that's
Hi,
my
Jar.
concern, you know. Hi, Jar. I mean, that's one of my problems is that so much tax dollar money has been spent on some of these trials, and it just irritates me that it's not done right the first time. But here's the thing. Whether he gets it on the murder, whether he gets it on the finances, he's got 25 years on the finances, and well, 25 and 5, but they're running congruently. The thing is that he's got two different, so he's going to be in jail either way. The only difference is if he gets a new trial for the mother, his wife and son, and he's not found guilty in that particular trial, he's still got the 25. And at his age, he may not live to see out of, he may not live to be out of court, you know? I mean, out of jail.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So either way, he's not going to be a free man.
I was trying to think of how popular he would be in jail, except for he probably would be if he can tell people how to manage their money. He'd probably be pretty popular.
I can tell you, he is not a popular man in jail.
Is he?
Definitely not a popular man in jail. He thinks he's a prima donna, not a donna, but a donner.
No.
There's been issues. Oh yeah, there have been issues in jail. I wish I could get the jail behavior sheets on him like we have for Sarah Boone, because I guarantee they've had trouble. In fact, it's been leaked that there's been some trouble, but I can't remember exactly what. Oh, I know, and you know, so I'm hoping to get more on Sarah Boone. It's just taking some time. How far?
Hello, it's Britt says,
Oh, okay.
I get that everyone deserves a fair trial, but yeah, the point seems moot, which, fair.
Yeah. I mean, he does, everyone deserves a fair trial. But I think at this point, sometimes he's already in jail for buku years. Am I going to be on the right or left once I move?
Right.
Okay. It's already one of those things that you just kind of go, dude, you're going to be in jail for another 25 years. You probably ain't going to live to see that at his age. He may, but the tax dollar money, it's just taxpayers.
Yeah.
And I really
Well,
do.
even
But
when you think
yeah, will he have the same attorneys? That's something I want to know. Will
they
he
were
have
really
the same
expensive
lawyers?
first time around. Hey.
That'll be interesting to know how the law. Oh yeah, and yeah, they really were. They really were. With the trial right now with Telus, he can't keep his face under control to a point, but at times when I expect him to be looking kind of sad, or you're looking at evidence or the videos or certain things, he's all interested and all up in it. Am I taking a right here?
Yes.
Okay. He's all in it and all interested in everything, but there's no emotion. Victims, when they were showing the actual victim photos, there was no really any emotion, and I don't think I could sit there, even whether I did it or not, look at those photos and not have a look of horror on my face, because they were gruesome. Right or left?
Yeah. No, I agree. So it's definitely, he definitely confuses me a little bit. So I'm not quite sure what to make of him at this point. And we've had 5 days to try and figure it out, or we've had 4.5 or 4 and a bit. So
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's like
Well,
the
love.
same thing with the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to have to hop off. I'm getting into traffic, but I just wanted to hop on again and say straight or right?
Straight.
Okay. I just want to hop on again and say thank you so much. You are doing so awesome. And everybody, y'all, thank you so much for joining us and sticking with us. Hey, I really, I'm very proud of you. This is not an easy thing to do. And especially hop on unprepared.
Just yourself is a very interesting and challenging thing to do. So I haven't tried it until now, but definitely is a talent that not everyone has. And I'm learning. It takes a little while to learn. But thanks for popping on, Nita, and we'll have the trial back in 15. So.
Well, and you know what? It's okay if you want to hop off during the trial. I just want you to know that that I may go on tonight. It just depends on what happens today. We are also still we are now in the sentencing phase of what's his name?
Finnegan. Sean Finnegan.
Yeah.
Is that
we
right?
are now
Finnegan?
in the sentencing phase of that. So I may hop on tonight for that. And then, you guys have a great day. I'll hop on a little later. Thank you.
Okay.
Blessings.
Bye. Have a good one.
Cut me off, please.
Okay. All right, everyone. So, hello, it's Britt. Yes, I do talk to myself all day long, and but mostly it's just me muttering to my dogs. Whereas this, you need to be a little bit more clear, as some people do need to understand what you're saying. So, it's a very interesting experience. You don't realize how many times you say I don't know if you all watch hockey or other sports, but when you see the players getting interviewed afterwards and they've spent all their energy, and you see or hear how much they're saying you're just like, oh, okay, so it's difficult to talk at someone. Interesting. And especially after you've used all your energy, then it's really difficult to talk at someone and sound like coherent. So for broadcasters, radio TV, things like that, definitely takes a knack to it. So it would be an interesting job, but it would definitely be a learning curve, ladies and gents. So thank you for hanging out with me today. It's a sneak takeover, even though it was not meant to be a sneak takeover. The only reason it is because we're hosting it from my computer today. Just because that's what we needed to do. Technical difficulties getting us started in the morning, but thank you for coming back to say hello to us. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate the fact that even though we weren't going to necessarily be talking to y'all, we had people coming here steadily throughout the day to say hello. Pretty much our usual crowd. We did have some people that we didn't know. Our friend Josh from RA's channel did pop by. He shared a really good article with us about the new updates in the Murdaugh case. So thank you, Josh, for stopping by to update us on that and to join our Discord server. I am going to drop another link just in case any of you are here and have not joined our Discord server yet. We have a Discord server. We like to hang out. We pretty much like to talk about true crime. We like to joke about things. I don't know. We just like to hang out. So please join if you want. Yeah. And it's a somewhat overcast day here where I am at in British Columbia. It's pretty cool out today, actually. So I'm in a hoodie for the first time in a long while, even though it's summertime. I'm interested to get started again back in hopefully 12 minutes. We could possibly see another delay. We had an extended lunch because apparently there was a witness that was delayed in showing up. Hopefully that was not delayed anymore and they were given sufficient time to arrive and everyone was given sufficient time to get started or get situated before the afternoon break was over. Hello, it's Brit says it's cool there, and I believe she is in the UK. So, yeah, it's you can have the windows open. It's not warm in the house. That's exactly where I'm at right now. So it's actually really nice that you're not like my dogs were panting all the time inside the house, and one of my dogs is incredibly fuzzy. So the fact that she can have a little bit of a break is a good thing. It's very good. Very good. However, that means I do have to mow the lawn. Sorry guys, I'm just talking about my chores now. We're not quite sure. I'm not quite sure. I haven't checked with Ada on what trials we're doing next, but Ada did just mention that she is going to try and hop on here and talk about the Sean Finnegan sentencing a little bit later on this evening when she's back at home. That case is not a case that everybody is following right now because it is a bit gruesome and not something that everyone is. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Now, because we already are in the sentencing phase, you don't necessarily have to hear all of the gruesome details. We are getting into the part of punishment or, hopefully some sort of, well, I don't know if they can, I don't know if there's any sort of remediation or any sort of things that can be done with a man like that in terms of trying to make him better. I think it's just punishment now. So yeah, we're gonna have some coverage with Ada later on about the Sean Finnegan sentencing. When Ada was covering a bit of the trial earlier in this last week, it was she made sure to only show certain parts of it that were not too bad. And still, the affect of Sean Finnegan's partner was very, very odd when she was describing some of the crimes that she was a victim and a perpetrator to. So it's all quite a very sad story. So it all seems like that house was very emotionally detached, and it seems like a horror house, Anyway, so please join Ada for that later on. We're going to get into the Sean Finnegan sentencing. Not everybody is covering it, but we are covering it here. So please try and join us. We may even have friends of ours. I don't know what Braxton is doing, but we do have friends that do like to drop in and give their opinion, which we always enjoy. Oh, Ronnie is here. Ronnie is one of our best and favoritist mods. I know favoritist is not a word. Let's pretend I did not say that. Ronnie has all the information. All of the information before everyone knows it. Right, Ronnie? Yeah. See, she's laughing at me, but pretty much that is the case. So, I don't know if you have anything juicy in terms of the law, send it to Ronnie. And please join our Discord server, which is just above in the comments there. So, if anybody is around here and is interested in perhaps becoming a mod for our team, or maybe wants to do research for our team, I know Ronnie does have a few people that do research in conjunction with her. So it is always something that you can inquire with us about if that's something that you feel interested in. So please inquire if that's something that you feel interests you. Oh, Ronnie, how are you doing today? How's your day going so far? Court is still on a break. We're still not quite back yet, guys. So don't worry, we haven't missed anything quite yet. I have it up on my other screen, so we are not quite missing anything. I'll make sure of it. And yeah, I was supposed to be up trying to help my grandma move stuff today. I don't know if you guys love moving or hate it. I know everybody hates it, so don't worry. That was a facetious question. But my grandma is in the process of, we're trying to put her house on the market, and just trying to get some of those things ready and trying to get some things moved, whether it's into my house or into my parents' house, things like that. I have 50 years of photos in my basement now, which is cool if I want to go down and look at 50 years of my family history. However, it is 50 years of photos. Oh, yeah, Ronnie. See, Ronnie, I was not supposed to be alive today. This is an impromptu sneak takeover. So thank you for joining me from the school pickup line. You are the very, very attractive grandmother who comes to pick up your grandkids an hour early. I don't know if anybody's seen Ronnie's photo, but she's a knockout. So anyway, she's a smoke show of a grandma. So, I'm sorry, Ronnie. But yes, I was not supposed to be live today. That's what Braxton does, right? So it was supposed to not be hosted from my computer, but we had a few technical difficulties this morning. So now it is being hosted from my computer. And now every once in a while, I come on and I say hello so that all the kids know that we are still here and we are still having some fun. And we are getting some updates with Murdaugh. We just read an article about updates in the Murdaugh trial. Hi, Squeegee. It's nice to see you. We are getting ready for Tellus to come back. We're happy because Squeegee is here. We are always really excited when our partners at Trial TV Live are in the chat room. So we would just want to say a hello to Chris and Aaron because they are two of our favorites. And yeah, we love them. We love them long time. So hi, guys. Hope you're well. And yeah. Squeegee, do you think they're going to be back in time, or do you think we're going to have to wait additional time for our witness who is late? Yes, so Ronnie is waiting in a car and it's 106 degrees out. Haley is saying that she would melt. I would also melt. Now, Josh is saying, from what I understand, the next witness is possibly the last witness of the day. Prosecution was given exhibits after court yesterday, and they have concerns of admissibility. Thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate that. Man, Josh, thank you. I really appreciate you being here with us today. So thank you for hanging out. Chances are, yeah, they're going to be late. Most certainly. These issues need to be taken outside the presence of the jury. That's what was discussed this morning. Yeah. Haley Mouse, that is not right. 41 degrees Celsius is not a reasonable temperature. Ronnie, we're so sorry. I said you were a smoke show of a grandma, but I didn't literally mean that you were a smoke show. I don't want you to melt. Again, sorry, Ronnie. Josh, you are interested in modding with us? Well, you know what? I'm going to have you talk with our mod boss, Miss Kevin. She's on a day off right now, but when she's back, I will have you talk with her, and maybe we can discuss something, because we love having people help us out. Just keep an eye on the chat and stuff, and you seem very, very helpful with information. So we appreciate having you around today, and thanks for joining our Discord server. We really appreciate that too. Once court comes back, I am going to go make a cup of tea, guys. But you know what? I am actually having fun here with you guys. So, how long do you think this is going to take to wrap up before they start deliberations? How many more days, guys? Do you think it's just going to be? Are they on, they're on, oh, Ronnie, I wish I could send you an ice cream truck or something. Dear Lord, do you remember how happy you were when you heard the ice cream truck back when you were a kid? You're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, we would really appreciate that, Josh. And so our mod boss is named Mrs. Kevin, and so I'm gonna join a message with you two, and we'll get that kind of started. But they seem to be on closing arguments. Thank you. Hello, it's Britt. See, I've been in and out, and so I haven't heard, like, if we're on defense, if we're on like, yeah. So anyway, thank you. Hello, it's Britt, because I am obviously. You don't have, okay, so I guess maybe because I live in the wilderness where there are still things like Canada still has things that other places do not have because we're some things just haven't hit us yet in terms of technology. But I still have an ice cream truck that comes around my neighborhood and that has the song playing. And we were talking about this the other day about a McDonald's ice cream machine probably being broken no matter where you are. That is really funny. Yeah, so we used to love the ice cream truck. We still have the ice cream truck here. And believe it or not, where I am, we have one of the last drive-in movie theaters in Canada. And they are disappearing and are almost gone. So it's been like a novelty since I've been like a teenager and since way before then that you can go out and see a double feature at a drive-in movie theater here in town. And that's really fun. And if you think about it, like, who does that anymore? They literally don't exist. Ronnie, I thought you lived in Canada. I must be mistaken. I'm so sorry. You live on the East Coast, though. Haley Mouse actually managed to get a McDonald's milkshake on Saturday night, and it's August. Newsflash, everyone. McDonald's milkshake on Saturday night. It was August. There was a machine that was not broken somewhere. Let's be happy. Haley Mouse, we're very, very thrilled for you. So, yeah, but, oh, Ronnie, drive-in theaters were so much fun. Man, they really are like disappearing, so it's just a lot of fun. There was an ice cream man unaliving in March 2023, and it's the ice cream man who did the unaliving. Okay, well, Josh. Oh, Court is about to come back, but Josh, you have just started a whole tangent for me to go on. Thanks, Josh. So we're going to have Court come back here soon, ladies and gents. But we really appreciate you hanging out with us during lunchtime. We appreciate you coming to check out the trial with us. And if you're in chat, come and say hello because we're still having fun in here too. So thanks for coming to see us at A to K today. And we hope that you're having a great day. Okay. All righty.
you also go by, is it McGlory?
Just go by McGlory, yes.
Okay. Turning your attention back to September of 2022. Did you see something on TV that caused you to call the police?
Yes.
Do you recall what the circumstances were and what you saw on TV that caused you to call police?
The description of the person I seen in the park, what
Okay.
they were wearing stood out.
Okay. And did you see video on TV concerning a crime in reference to a journalist and you saw clips of that and you said, I recognize that person?
Yes.
If I may turn your attention, and for the record, this is State's Exhibit 338. This is the press release that was released on September 5th, 2022. It's not playing. Can you see that?
Yes.
Was that the clip that you had seen on TV?
Yes.
And as a result of seeing this clip, did you call the police?
Yes.
Now you had testified, get this to stop, that you had seen something that gave rise to concern because you had seen this individual previously.
That's correct.
Where was it that you saw what you believed was this individual?
At Bruce Trent Park?
Bruce Trent Park?
Yes.
That's in Clark County, Nevada.
Yes.
Is Bruce Trent Park off of Vegas Drive in Rampart?
That's correct.
When did you see this individual?
It was about 4:30 in the evening.
Okay. And what date do you
It
recall?
was on the 28th of August.
So that would have been a Sunday
That's correct.
and about 4:30.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what, if we could have marked as defense exhibit. Y2. And this will be admitted by stipulation?
Sure.
I'm going to show you, and if I could get the Elmo up. Is this right here, Bruce Trent Park? I showed you this prior to your testimony.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And that's the park you were at?
That's correct.
Now, is this a Summerlin Park? Is there like a soccer park complex there?
Yes, I believe there's for softball and maybe ice skating. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Just other things.
so when you saw this person, it was Sunday, August 28th, 2022, was a warm outside.
Very warm. Okay.
And anything catch your attention concerning this individual that you saw?
Yes. Yes.
What did you see, please?
I seen somebody that was fully covered from head to toe and wearing black gloves. Yes.
Did this individual have tennis shoes on?
Yes.
You have to speak up.
Yes. Yes.
Did this individual have a straw hat on like the one that we saw in that clip?
Yes, sir.
And where did you see this person at this Bruce Trent Park?
I seen him walking across the children's play area
Okay,
and I seen him enter the men's restroom.
if I could have what's going to be marked and admitted by stipulation, defense exhibit.
C2? No objection.
Is this the bathroom in this Bruce Trent Park?
Yes, sir.
How long was this person around this bathroom?
He went in and then he went out, came out, and then he went back in.
And you say he, how do you know that it was a male versus a female?
I can tell by the way he walked.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you interact with this person, speak
No.
to this person?
No, I did not.
Were you concerned regarding the way this person looked in reference to your grandchildren or those that you were with?
Yes, I was very concerned for the children in the park.
Now, you didn't call the police on August 28th, this Sunday, when you saw this person.
No, I did not.
But you called the police after you saw this person again on September 5th for this release. It was a Metro press release concerning a suspect.
Yes, I saw it.
And did you call and give the same description, these same concerns when you called? And let me ask you this, it was on September 7th, wasn't it, that you called?
Yes.
Were you ever interviewed by any detectives or any police officers in reference to this person that you saw?
No.
Did this person also have a bag?
Yes.
Do you recall what type of bag this person had?
A duffel bag.
A duffel bag. Do you recall the color?
It was black.
A black duffel bag.
Yeah.
Was this person's face covered
Yes.
with gloves?
With gloves.
Yes, I'm asking you, this person have gloves?
Oh, he had gloves on, but his face was covered with a mask.
Okay.
You know, like a COVID mask.
And you were able on August 28th to get a good look at this person's getup?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
You got a good view of this person?
Yes.
You were close enough. But how far were you from me to you, farther? What was your vantage point?
Probably where the officers at the back door.
30 feet?
Yes.
Thank you.
At one point, I was that far, he was that far from me, but as he went into the men's restroom, I was closer. I could see him a lot closer.
You never spoke to him?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi. Mhm.
Let's talk about, this is Defense Exhibit 22. I think you just said that you at one point were about 30, oh,
For the record, that's Z.
ZZ, thank you. I believe you said at one point you were like 30 feet from this individual.
Yes.
And so there's a mouse in front of you. Do you see that on the table?
Okay.
Are you able to kind of indicate where you were and where that person was?
So, if I may ask, is the right side the women's bathroom and the left side is the men's restroom?
So I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to give you
Okay.
answers, but maybe you could just point out where you were.
Okay. I was actually, I'm gonna say it was about kind of like back over here.
Okay, so in the image, sort of the lower right corner in that sand area,
Mhm.
is that yes? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
And the individual was closer, I assume, to the structure?
Yes,
And which side of the structure was the individual on?
on the men's side.
Okay, and whatever side that is?
Yes.
And do you recall now which side that was?
I'm trying to identify the park because I've been to this park several times. I'm trying to identify what side
Oh,
the
okay.
men's restroom is on. It's not
Okay.
really clear, you know?
Okay, so you can't, I mean,
It's hard to tell.
you've been to that park, but you can't tell by this photo where you were? Or which side, I guess, is the men's side, if I'm understanding you?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's way far over here is the men's side.
Okay, so then to the other side of the picture.
Yes.
And then you're, as I understood you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were more in the sand area in the lower right part of the picture?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, and so did that distance ever get closer?
Yes, because he walked across the children's playground area to the men's restroom.
Okay, so,
So
and
I've seen him from far away, and
Okay.
it concerned me when I first saw him. But then when he walked across the playground to the men's restroom, that concerned me even more.
Okay, now the person that you saw, you assume male because of how the person walked?
Yes,
How tall was the person?
I'd say about 5'9", 5'8", 5'9".
5'8" or 5'9"? And we said that you believe the person was male. It sounds like the person had gloves on, and then I think I heard you say a face covering as well.
Yes.
So I would assume you don't know what that person's face looks like.
Well, I seen his face when he was running.
Okay,
So
tell me about that.
So when I left the park with my granddaughter, I went around the corner up Durango.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. So there's Rampart and then there's another side, which is Durango.
Okay.
So I went up Durango, towards West Cliff, I believe it is.
Mhm.
And I seen him running up, running towards another park that's down the other way. But as he was running, his hat was coming off and his hoodie was coming off and he didn't have his face mask on,
Okay.
but he looked like a light-skinned male bald.
Light-skinned male bald.
Yeah,
And you said there was a hoodie as well?
that's correct.
What color was that hoodie?
I believe it was a dark gray.
Dark gray?
Yeah.
And then the build of the person, would you say heavy build, medium build,
Thin.
thin?
Yeah.
And when you see his face, how far away are you at that point?
Well, I'm driving and he's running on the sidewalk. So
Okay.
I'd say about maybe 30 feet.
Okay, 30 feet.
Maybe less. I don't know.
Was your car actually moving?
Yes, it was moving.
Okay, so you're in kind of a moving car and then you observe him the second
I
time?
was going slow, yes.
Yeah.
Just to see, yeah.
Okay, and the person, as I understand it, caused you concern, but you didn't really see the person do anything except run and kind of walk across the children's playground?
Yeah.
Okay, and when you saw the individual in the park, when you weren't in your car, the person had gloves on
Yes,
and then tennis shoes?
correct.
And walked, I guess, looking at this exhibit, is the children's park to the right side?
It's just depending on what street you're on. If you're on Vegas, you're looking at the splash pad and the men's restroom. If you're
Okay.
on Rampart, you're gonna be looking at the actual whole playground
Uh-huh,
and you'll see the side of the women's bathroom.
okay. And does this exhibit that we have in front of you, does that not give you enough detail to be able to orient on where that playground might be?
No, it doesn't give me enough detail
Okay,
because then it's kind of hard to determine my distance,
sure,
especially because we were at the splash pad at one point
okay,
and we walked away from the splash pad because of that.
okay. And then when you saw the person near the men's restroom, the individual walked in and walked out?
Yes,
How long was the person in the restroom?
just for a second.
A second?
Walked in, yeah. I'd say maybe like 5 seconds and then walked out.
Okay, and you see all this on August the 28th?
That's correct.
And obviously nothing about it on August the 28th caused you concern, right? I mean, to call the police, I should say.
It did, but I think I was just trying to process it because I was a little creeped out by it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what made you, like, when you say like creeped out on August the 28th?
It didn't look right. Something looked very eerie about the whole thing.
Okay.
Especially the way he was moving his hands.
And
That frightened me. And especially because the children there was a lot of kids at the playground that day.
okay, so you were concerned about this person like immediately when you saw him on August the 28th?
Yes.
And then you get in the car with the children that are with you and then you see him again running?
Yes.
What was he doing that caused you concern when he was running?
Um, I don't know. I think it was just seeing him walking the way he did and then seeing him running. It made me think something happened or something was happening. I didn't know. I was more concerned he was going to go to another park. And I don't know. I was just scared for the kids. That's all.
You were scared for the kids. Did you ever see him interact with the kid?
No, nothing. at all.
And when you say like you were concerned about the way he was walking, what about that caused you concern?
Something just didn't look right about it.
Okay. And was it like because the person was walking fast or slow
Well,
or?
first of all, he was completely covered with gloves on in the heat that way.
Mhm,
He didn't look like a homeless man.
sure.
So that's what
The
caught my
clothing.
attention. It caught my attention, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so were you, based on what you saw on August the 28th, did you think about calling the police and reporting this person?
No, it didn't dawn on me just yet what was going on. I kind of like just let it be. I know I wasn't really thinking something was going to happen.
Okay, and so
Mhm.
it's sometime after that that you see the public information video sent out by Metro?
Yes.
Do you remember what date you saw that?
I believe it was the 7th.
The 7th of September?
I believe so.
Okay, so what do
Um,
you have up there?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was just my notes of the date,
Oh,
of the date.
may I
I'm
have
sorry.
a copy of those, please, Your Honor?
Sure. If you wanna both of you go for lunch, grab it, you wanna
Thank you.
sit down as well?
You're welcome.
Can I just take these up while I'm doing cross, and then I'll give them back to
No
you?
worries. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So these notes that you gave me on this piece of paper, did you type these?
Actually, my husband did.
Okay.
But
It was sort of based on what you're
it
saying?
was based on the police report that I made. Yes. Based on the police report that I made.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at some point, it looks like on your notes, it says Wednesday, 9/7 at 7:43 PM.
Okay.
Is that the date you
That's
called the
date.
police?
Yes.
Okay, and so you reported, you saw something on TV and then you make the report after that?
Yes.
Okay,
I-
and then did your husband just write these in order for you to keep your memory to sort of, I
Just
guess?
to help me, because it was, 2022, so.
Yeah.
It was a little foggy from that. point,
Okay.
yeah.
And then, so did you kind of, it seems like you explained exactly what you just testified to
Yes.
this afternoon?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then after you made your report of the sighting to the police, it's my understanding that you weren't talked to?
No.
Okay. And did you ever make like any kind of follow-up call?
No.
Did you ever see this person in the area of that park again?
No, I hadn't gone back to that park for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not just at the park, but anywhere? Had you ever seen the person again?
No.
Never? Okay. So the one time you see this person is on August the 28th?
That's correct.
And how long total time do you think you had to observe the person?
About 30 minutes.
Okay, so
Possibly.
quite a bit of time.
In between that time, yeah. It was in between that time of 30 minutes. Because I had to have my granddaughter home at 5.
Okay,
So we were kind of rushing, trying to play and get her home.
yeah.
So
Did you think because of the outfit, the person might have been a worker or groundskeeper, or
it did not look like that at all.
because the outfit looked different than that to you, or?
He looked very peculiar. I don't know.
Peculiar?
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Was there reflection
something
on
didn't
the
seem right.
clothing? Was the clothing reflective?
no.
There was no reflective
No.
clothing on at all? Okay. And then just sort of the hat that you described?
Yes, and something just didn't seem right because that hoodie was very tight on his face.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a hoodie and then a hat on top of that?
Yes,
Okay, and that hoodie, I think you described as sort of darker color?
yes,
And then you see that when he's running and the hat comes up a little bit?
yeah,
Okay,
it was coming off.
okay,
he was running.
just 1 second, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Your Honor, may I approach? I'd like to return her notes to her.
Sure, do you want to mark it with a clear record?
If that's okay with the witness and counsel, that's fine.
Do you mind if we mark it with a clear record, or do you want a copy of it?
I don't mind.
Okay. So just court's exhibit. right?
Yeah.
The, court's exhibit.
May I
That's fine.
approach?
You may.
Exhibit number 16. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Drexler?
Thank you, ma'am. I have no further questions. Thank you
Okay.
for your
Am I
testimony.
done?
Thank you very much.
Thank
for your, just make sure. Thank you very much for your testimony here today. You may step down. And you'll excuse me, your subpoena. Thank you very much for being here. We will call your next witness.
Remember, the second witness we were going to call, Ms. Loftus, had a flight delay. The way things worked out, she was coming early. If there's a flight delay, she's not going to be here until late this afternoon. We anticipate calling her in the morning. There's another issue concerning a witness that I believe that we were going to address.
Sure. Next up, the attorney's approach. She's not going to decide time tomorrow. Okay, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to conclude for the day. During this recess, you're admonished not to discuss or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, in any way regarding the case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication, or social media, or read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case, do any research, consult dictionaries, the internet, or reference materials, do any investigation, test a theory, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case until it is finally submitted to you. We'll be in recess till tomorrow morning at 10:30. Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gents. So the boss baby looking a little bit concerned as maybe some of the witnesses are delayed or just very delayed. I would say they are showing up. It's not that they're not showing up. It's just that they're heavily delayed due to air travel. Not good. Not good looking for the defense, though, to have a 2.5 hour lunch break and then come back for one witness for 10 minutes, even though she was quite a lovely witness. Don't get me wrong. She was great. Now, we had an interesting question posed to us here in between lunch and now. Now, Josh Hutchings, who has been a wonderful addition to our chat, thank you, Josh, was asking who believes or who thinks that he's going to testify. Who thinks Tellez will take the stand? He says, I don't think he should, but I wouldn't doubt if he did. Now, I don't think, now this is my own personal, my own humble opinion. It's right there. Okay. So I don't think he will. And I think that his defense team will have figured out that his face has subtitles. And with a face like that, that you cannot hide anything on, apparently. One trick question or one question that you're not expecting, and they got you. Oh, hi, Squeegee. Bye, Squeegee. Thank you very much, Squeegee. Wow, that was a lot of squeegees. We really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Hi, say goodnight to Erin for us. We appreciate you. So, I personally do not believe that he's going to testify, but I think that he's not going to be able to control his face. Now, would it be funny if he did testify and couldn't control his face? Yeah. Do I want to see the pain that would be involved in that? Not necessarily. Would it be like a car crash waiting to happen? Yes, it most certainly would be. So if anybody else has their thoughts and feelings about whether Tellez will take stand, I would be interested to know. Ronnie has jumped in with her opinion. She does not believe that he will. It's been an interesting day, scattered day of court. We have read some articles. We've said hello to Ada on her day off. We're still here, even though it's a day off, because we love the law. And we got a little bit of juicy Murdaugh gossip, not gossip. We actually just read an article, so it was legitimate news. And we talked about ice cream trucks and drive-in movie theaters. So I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember those, but they were a lot of fun. Now, court is set to resume at 10:30 Pacific tomorrow. So that would be 1:30, I believe, Eastern time. I'm sorry if I did not do my math correctly. So please join us then. Ada should be back. She should be streaming. And Ada has tried to, or is planning to, she's planning to come on tonight and discuss sentencing or the Sean Finnegan case. Yes, and Josh just said, it's the whole, I can keep my mouth shut, but you can read the subtitles on my face. And especially, like, his face is just, oh yeah, Squeegee, we really like the split screen on trial. On trial TV, when people are being questioned, we like the split screen. It's a really cool effect. So anyway, and it's so odd because he has got like such a youthful face, but you can tell that there's like something interesting and kind of nefarious about it, so you don't trust it. And so when Melanie Little calls it boss baby, but when she calls him boss baby, I just laugh because she's a very funny and she's a very intelligent woman. So I do enjoy her quite a bit. Yes, everybody enjoys the subtitle comment because it's true. Like, I don't think this guy can hide anything on his face. That's why he had his face covered when he went to go do the deed, when the Crime Stoppers women just said that he had his face covered until the part when he was running away. It's because he wouldn't be able to keep secrets because he just cannot keep that crap off his face. He has to just go around walking like a ninja if he's going to do something bad, apparently. Like a ninja granny construction worker. That's a new form of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. So we hope that you join us. We hope that you join Ada tonight for Sean Finnegan. We hope that you join us in general. Thank you very much for popping in to say hi to us on the chat today. We shall talk to you soon. It was a short day of court today. We will see you back at 10:30 Pacific, 1:30 Eastern tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, guys. And take care of each other. Be good.